Hello everyone, this is Squallcasting, bringing you another game of StarCraft 2. Up here in the top right hand corner we have WhiteRa. He is a Ukrainian player, and he is 31 years old. So, if you ever have someone come up to you and say, video games for teenagers, old people do reputable things like have a career and be businessmen and do jobs, just send them to this video and say, this guy's 31 years old, and he plays video games for a living. Yeah. So WhiteRa is, of course, well known for his special tactics relating to warp prism use. His games are always fun to watch, and he's had some pretty significant success in the tournament scene, getting first place in the IPL Season 2, as well as a variety of other tournaments. Now, down here in the bottom left-hand corner, we have IamMaru. Now, there is a Korean player whose name is Maru, but I don't think this is him, because this is from the European servers. Now, it's possible that guy went, I wanted to play on the European servers, even though the lag from Korea to Europe is absolutely atrocious. But I'm pretty sure that's not him. So, now, I don't know if there's actually Maru the cat. If it is, I am amazed that he got into Masters while playing with Pause. Oh, hail Maru, King of the Universe. Now they are playing on Daybreak. We have two Zone Auger watchtowers that provide a lot of vision. It does not cover all potential attack angles. And there's just a lot of ramps, a lot of high grounds. It can be a lot of positional play. Well, coming up here, might poke at that SCV, try to kill it. But Maru does decide to bring an SCV forward and continue working on it. So he does deny WhiteRa the scout. WhiteRa will not know if there are gases taken that would indicate some sort of Banshee harass. He just doesn't know. Maru, on the other hand, gets straight up into the main. Does he see the expansion? Yes, he does. So he knows WhiteRa is going for this aggressive expand. So we will see what Maru chooses to do. He's getting another barracks. He's getting his orbital. He has not yet gotten his refinery. So definitely not a tech-oriented play. Getting another barracks. Wonder if we'll see some kind of 3 barracks pressure with early stim. Who knows? WhiteRa does have this watchtower, but now having to battle an SCV for it. He's going to have to run that, though, because that SCV has a friend coming to save him. WhiteRa's probe is bloodthirsty, but he has to run away. Does not succeed in killing the SCV. He will have to satiate his bloodthirst another way. He's scooting up here, might try to throw down a pylon somewhere to get some warp-ins in the future. But Maru very intelligently moving a marine down to deny that. And there it goes. So WhiteRa will not get to scout if there's a command center there now. And Maru still hasn't dropped a gas and is still making barracks. He's just going to flood a ton of unupgraded marines and pulling SCVs, so he's going to drop bunkers here and just try to pressure WhiteRa like crazy. WhiteRa is not going to have a lot to deal with this, and he's got a Zealot running cross-map, completely missing all of this pressure. This is looking very dicey for WhiteRa. We'll have to see bunkers going down, the Zealot's getting in, trying to hit the marine, but there are SCVs blocking its way, and it's going to have to run away, having to pull probes to defend this. This is looking so bad for WhiteRa, bringing all his probes down, and he knows he needs to defend this. Getting Warp Gate, getting a Stalker out. Now, if he can micro the Stalker very well, he will be able to kill a lot of Marines. If he can stop these bunkers from going up, that would be so good for him. This bunker's almost done. I think it's going to go up. No. But these Marines haven't managed to get in, and if they can't get in, they can't shoot up. He gets one Marine in, but that's only one Marine, and that's not going to deal that much damage. So WhiteRa defending this very well, losing a lot of probes in the process. Only 6 probes. Wow. Okay, Maru did not micro that the best. Clearly his paws are impairing his ability to micro, and this Zealot is right on the verge of death. Oh man, he needs to go to a hospital. His arms are about to fall off. He's bleeding from 50 different bullet wounds. The Stalker goes down. Maru continuing to press forward, but this still does not have any gas, and this is feeling very all-in from him. WhiteRa has a clear economic lead now. 21 probes to 14 SCVs. The only reason this is close at all is because Maru has mules. Still a lot of pressure coming in, though. Got 15 Marines to only 2 Zealots and 2 Stalkers. WhiteRa is going to need to control this very well. That said, though, these Marines do not have combat shields and they do not have stim. So if WhiteRa controls his Stalkers well, he can kite these Marines very effectively. And he's going to try to do just that. Dancing back, bringing Zealots forward to deal more damage. That Zealot healed up all shields, but getting killed very quickly by the Marines. So a lot of Marines have gone down, and this is looking better and better for WhiteRa every moment. The longer Maru has to dance back and forth, the further WhiteRa gets ahead, bringing more SCVs, and this is probably the last push. This is even more SCVs, trying to throw down bunkers again. These ones, though, might get up. WhiteRa bringing some Stalkers forward, trying to pick that SCV off, but the Marines push forward and force the Stalkers back. 3 bunkers going up, wow. Even if these do go up, WhiteRa can just pull all these probes, go back in his natural, and he will still have an enormous economy lead. Losing so many Marines to those Stalkers, pulling that Stalker back, microing back, the Marines trying to kill it, losing more and more, pulling the probes to pin the Marines in and kill them, and I think this is it for Maru. He is still reproducing SCVs back home, though, but still, no gas. 0 tech whatsoever. All these bunkers finished, though, and WhiteRa is having to focus them down with his probes. But if he manages his probes well, he'll be able to pin all those Marines in. They do not get to a new bunker. Very nicely played by WhiteRa, and this Marine's going to have to fall back. And probes heading back to mine. Should probably salvage that bunker. He's still going for it, though. He really wants to win with this. But, like, he has to fall back. There's just too much stuff from WhiteRa. Unupgraded Marines with no stim just can't deal with Zealots. And Stalkers. Still trying to kite back, though. Dealing some decent damage, taking out a Zealot. WhiteRa pulling that Zealot back. Very intelligent. Let's take a look at the worker count. 21 probes to 14 SCVs. Again, I think that's exactly what it was before. WhiteRa going to be able to micro against these Marines basically forever. This Stalker just this Zealot just hanging out. Okay, now he decides to move back. This Marine trying to take down the Zealot. The Zealot cuts up the Marine with much ferocity. Yeah, that was a late remark. WhiteRa trying to push up with the Stalker. Getting flanked, though. Needs to run those away, and he might lose a Stalker here. Just gets away. 7 HP. He needs to fall back a little bit. Let those shields regenerate. And Maru deciding to expand behind this. So when you're all in, build 3 bunkers, right? As doorstep fails, you might as well expand. But that said, WhiteRa does not have that much in standing forces. He only has 2 Stalkers, 2 Zealots, 2 Stalkers now. Yeah, I lost 1. And 2 Sentries. So he certainly does not have the ability to put pressure back on to Maru. And every attack, WhiteRa does lose a fair number of probes, even though Maru lost SCVs. But Maru had mules, and now is able to keep him in the game. So, all that crazy aggression kind of evening out. WhiteRa does have a lot more supply, though. But that said, most of that's tied up in probes. 15 Marines, 3 Stalkers, 1 Zealot, 2 Sentries. So I feel like WhiteRa does need to try to get a bit more of a standing army. He is not yet teching, which is probably a good... wait, he is teching. He's getting a Robobay. Okay. Not sure why he's doing that, since Maru is 100% Marines. And Immortals are not the greatest against Marines, but maybe he just wants to get an OBS out to keep an eye on things and check if Maru is still all in with this or if he's expanding out of it. So, WhiteRa definitely has a significant lead. 40 probes to 22 SCVs. We'll see what Maru does, though. He is now putting up a factory, so he is working on getting a bit of tech now, getting a starport, getting a reactor. So it looks like he might try to move into some drop play, or just continue with bio, building lots of Marines, lots of medevacs, and just pushing forward with that. He is finally getting stim at the 13-minute mark, my goodness. And WhiteRa getting a forge so he can begin getting his own upgrades, getting +1 right now. Starport about halfway done, reactor about halfway done, because they time up perfectly with each other. And WhiteRa just playing very defensively, doesn't want to die to anything. Continuing to add on Zealots. Has a good number of Sentries now, so if Maru does come for another big attack, he can use a lot of force fields to split up the army, or just straight up prevent it from getting in through the ramp. Maru, though, building SCVs, and he's getting a bit caught up. WhiteRa does have 49 now. He's quite saturated at both bases. He has 4 probes in that assimilator. Bit of a mistake, but you really can't blame him. He was under an awful lot of pressure early on in the game. And WhiteRa does have probes moving out now, so he's going to be able to get in there. He's going to see and know that this is indeed just a straight-up bio transition. Maru should probably think about starting to add reactors to more of these barracks if he's wanting to continue going bio, as reactor barracks are pretty fantastic. Maru moving the factory out, just going to scout with that a little bit, check if WhiteRa has a third. And WhiteRa making a Colossi. Okay, so I guess he was just counting on Maru sitting back for long enough for him to get the robotics bay and begin getting his Colossi. And it looks like it's worked out for him. This observer does catch sight of these medevacs moving back, and WhiteRa is positioning units to repel it. So good foresight by him, spreading those observers out nicely, and he's going to be able to deal with this quite effectively. That said, those are 2 full medevacs, but Maru doesn't want to go in for it, and he turns around and heads home. WhiteRa getting his thermal lance, extended thermal lance upgrades, getting another Colossi, getting Twilight Council, interesting. Probably to get charge, since when you get Colossi, you usually have spare minerals left over, and you can just kind of fill that with zealots. Getting some force fields down, cutting off a few of the Marines, but clearly not as many as WhiteRa would have liked. And he picks up, and he might try to drop again, but there's still forces there, so maybe just picking up to run away and keep his Marines safe. WhiteRa falling back for the time being. He does have +1 attacks done, getting +1 armor now. Maru, on the other hand, 0 upgrade. He is getting +1 for his infantry attacks, though, so not crazy behind. And he is starting to get Vikings, so good response by him, seeing that Colossi and knowing that he does indeed need to get those Vikings to deal with them. WhiteRa looking like he wants to expand. Has a lot of minerals now. Wow, he's slipping on his macro a little bit. Does have a drop coming in here now. I don't know if WhiteRa has quite enough stuff to deal with this, especially stimped Marines. Wow. He needs to warp in some forces. Okay, he does warp in some Stalkers, and he's going to be able to clean that up and potentially get a medevac. Not quite. So WhiteRa does lay down his third at the same time as Maru is laying down his third. So both players mirroring each other in expansion timings now. WhiteRa continuing to add on Colossi. Factory just hanging out at the edge of the map here. And while I don't think Maru has actually seen the expansion, no he hasn't, he probably knows it's there since WhiteRa did push down with that army to push away the factory. WhiteRa does have a significant supply lead now. Somewhat significant. Not a huge lead, but a lead. Significant is not the word for a small lead at all. And Maru is continuing to build and catching on up. Well, looks like he might want to push out here. He has 2 Vikings, 4 Vikings. So he's got a decent number of them. WhiteRa, though, does have 3 Colossi. And 4 Vikings will not be able to kill 3 Colossi with any kind of speed. So, we'll see, though. He does have a decent number of Marauders, and WhiteRa doesn't have a ton of ground units. Okay, warping in more. Now he's got a pretty decent army to deal with that. And yes, he did see it with his Obs. He's tailing the army, so he knows it's coming. He's getting in position, getting an Archon out, pushing away that factory again. Maru sees the army. It looks like he's going to head up and maybe go into the natural through here. WhiteRa, though, should have a beat on it. Looks like he's pulling back to defend. And Maru just swinging on up here. Well, maybe not going in quite yet, just posturing around a little bit, taking out units here and there, and heading on back home. WhiteRa getting +2 armor. Got +2 attack at some point, and getting another Colossi, continuing to add on units. Maru getting another NG Bay, getting a Ghost Academy, and an Armory, so going to continue with bio upgrades and start to mix Ghosts in. Probably to deal with those High Templar that WhiteRa does now have. WhiteRa, though, doesn't seem to be wanting to go for Storm. He isn't researching it yet, so seem to be just getting those Templar to get Archons, which are so very beefy and hit quite hard. 43 damage against bio units, which is most of what Maru has. Maru moving some Vikings up. Not sure what he was doing with those. Falling back with them now. And WhiteRa's got a pretty scary force here now. He does not yet have charge. Not sure why. Okay, he's getting blink. I would have thought he would have gone for charge by now, because he's got a lot of zealots. Charge zealot Archon Colossi can be kind of awesome. But decided to get Blink for now. Probably to deal with drops, maybe to blink in, kill Vikings, that kind of thing. And both players just continue to mac up. WhiteRa throwing down a lot of gateways. He really wants to be able to have instant reinforcement capability. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, 8 to a row, so 11 gateways. I didn't actually know that was 8 to a row. I'd never counted it before, but now I know. So 11 gateways, 12 gateways, 13 gateways. A lot of gateways. 7 gateways in production. Bet you don't see that too terribly often. And okay, he is getting charge and blink at the same time. He has 2 Twilight Councils? I feel that has to have been a mistake. That doesn't make too much sense to me. Unless he was like, I really want to research charge, so I'll throw down another one so I can research them at the same time. So that seems very odd. Anyway, getting +3 attack now, and +3 armor. Mario, on the other hand, getting his Mobius Reactor. I believe that's the upgrade that gives Medivacs more energy when they pop out. I think. No, wait, that's the one that increases Ghost energy when they spawn. Pardon me. And Mario taking this base, making it a planetary, nice defensible position. Getting concussive shells for Marauders so they can kite more effectively. And getting his upgrades as well. He is, however, behind on upgrades. 2-2 is researching now, whereas WhiteRa already has 3-2. 3 attack, 2 armor. WhiteRa looks like he wants to push through these rocks here, blasting them down now. Mario does see it, so he is positioning his army a bit, spreading it out. Vikings poking forward, going to try to snipe off some Colossi. There is a lot of space here that they can move through. Let's see what happens, WhiteRa looks like he wants to push forward. That's a lot of charge lots, a lot of Archons, and Templar on top of that. Templars get feedbacked, or EMP'd, excuse me, and immediately start morphing into Archons, because they can't really do anything now. Basically dead weight. Charge lots charging forward, Colossi ripping up everything. So many Vikings plowing through the Colossi. And WhiteRa needs to fall back. He's losing a lot of Colossi. He's lost all his charge lots. He's starting to lose Stalkers, so not the best engagement by him. Mario managing that quite well, had so many Vikings when they were able to deal with those Colossi very well. WhiteRa losing another Colossi, very unfortunate. He has established for himself a 4th, does not have any probes there yet though. So we'll probably want to start looking at that, and he does have a decent bank, so he can warp in a ton of stuff with these 5 trillion warp gates, and there we go. Hello, lots of Zealots, and an Archon. So Mario definitely has a bit of an economy lead now. Small supply lead as well, although with that many warp gates, WhiteRa can replenish as fast as he gets money. And WhiteRa looks like he might want to push forward again. I don't know about this. Mario's army's looking pretty strong, and he's got a good number of ghosts mixed in there too, with a decent amount of energy. And EMPs just mess up the Protoss army, because they just lose so much of their total life. WhiteRa, though, has moved probes down here, so he is about equal with Mario again. And he's taken this base as well. So looking to one-up Mario in the economy contest. He does have a probe here, so he will be able to see if Mario goes and tries to take that base. And Mario just sitting back, continuing to build. Very passive game by both players after that initial aggression. Both content to just sit back, build up, try to get their ultimate doom armies of ultimate doom, and then murder the opponent into death. And yes, I'm sure that sounded incredibly awkward. Anyway, WhiteRa does have 3-3 now. No shield upgrades, isn't yet getting them. Mario, on the other hand, 2-2 still. 3-3 finishing up soon-ish, about 2 minutes away in in-game time. He is getting 2 attack for his air units, so he will be able to deal with those Colossi even faster. Both players still just posturing around. WhiteRa up here looks like he wants to drive in, maybe snipe that command center. We'll see. There are so many charge lots in that, my goodness. Mario's going to need some pretty good EMPs to deal with that. Getting a lot of EMPs down, neutralizing a lot of the shields, and once again, those Vikings are absolutely obliterating the Colossi. WhiteRa falling back. Just can't seem to deal with that. He does have a lot of energy on these Templar. He could get some good storms down. The Ghosts are moving forward, though. to potentially snipe or EMP those Templar. And interestingly enough, Templar now die in 2 snipes because snipe was changed. Let me find a ghost. Yeah. 50 damage versus psionic, so that's how it is now. Just wanted to point that out. I know that happened like 5 months ago or something, but I remember how much Terrans were complaining about how much that nerf to the overall snipe damage would affect their ability to deal with Broodlords effectively. Because before then, they were just getting like 30 ghosts, and then they just snipe all the Broodlords out of the sky. It's a little bit silly. So both players still playing very passive. WhiteRa definitely has an economy lead right now, as he has that 1 base advantage. Maru looking like he wants to check up here. Checking for pylons, most likely. Going to be able to kill that Zealot. And look at how slow the Zealot charges when it's got that slow on it. That's such a pain. WhiteRa trying to run it away, but yeah, that's not going to work out. Oh, Marauders, you and your explosive grenades of slowing. So both players still playing very passive, just taking it easy. WhiteRa getting a shields upgrade, getting the gravitic boosters, which I think is the observer speed. I'm seeing that so much now. This is so weird. I used to never see it, and I've seen it in 3 games I've cast in the past 2 weeks. So go figure. I guess more pros are going for that. It does make the observers move quite a lot faster. And if you want to move your observers around to check on things, that can be a benefit. So if you've got a big mineral and gas bank and you're basically maxed, might as well get it. Because in a lot of these end game scenarios, late game scenarios, I should say. Oh, WhiteRa doing a bit of warp prism harass. Does he have speed on the warp prism? Oh, he doesn't. So it's going to go down to those Vikings. Unless Maru stops chasing. Okay. Just decides to stop chasing. Probably going to go land these, I guess, to deal with the Zealots, which are killing tech. Killing that reactor, quite annoying. But as I was saying, in these late game scenarios, a lot of it comes down to positioning. You probably have... when you're on 5 base, you probably have the composition you want, and it really comes down to your ability to engage in an angle or position that is advantageous to you. Now, WhiteRa very boldly taking this expansion, so he wants to stay up on those bases against Maru, throwing down 2 command centers, and floating this one up here. Okay, well, there's only 2 more bases he can take. So one of those could be a defensive planetary. I'll have to see. More Zealots getting in, stopping the +3 upgrade for the Vikings. So that's definitely good for WhiteRa's Colossi. Will help them live a little bit longer. But that said, he has largely transitioned out of Colossi tech. He now has lots of Archons, lots of Zealots, and High Templar, and only 4 Colossi. So probably a wise decision, as that is a lot of Vikings. And both players still sitting back. WhiteRa has an enormous bank, 4,700 minerals, 2,500 gas. Throwing down some photon cannons to keep this expansion safe by time if Maru decides to poke in. And WhiteRa moving up here, staying just out of range of that sensor tower. Looks like he wants to go try to pick off this base. We'll see what happens. Maru's still camping out the center here. Does have 3-3 on the infantry now. And looks like he's going to push in here and punish this base. And that base is definitely going to go down. There's nothing WhiteRa can do about that. His entire army is totally out of position. WhiteRa throwing down 6 more gateways, because why not? 15 gateways are clearly better than 11. And this base is going to go down. Yeah, WhiteRa kills that base easily, falls back. We'll see if Maru pushes forward. Nope. Doesn't want to get caught out of position. He could have pushed forward and potentially killed this before WhiteRa would have been able to bring his entire army back, but clearly doesn't want to do that. Looks like he might be trying to catch a flank on WhiteRa's army while it's still in transit here. But WhiteRa should be able to just get away. So each player trading an expansion, but that said, WhiteRa has had this additional base for so incredibly long that he has a very beefy bank compared to Maru. So Maru getting a planetary fortress, throwing down more barracks, because when you have a 2,000 mineral bank, you might as well. Throw down lots of barracks, that way if your entire army gets wiped out, you can rebuild the entire thing in about 30 seconds. Maru pushing forward here. A bunch of stalkers getting caught out of position. They're going to need to run away. WhiteRa losing this base again. Does not get the cancel. Dies a little bit too fast. And WhiteRa looks like he wants to push through here now. Try to get a better position. Whole bunch of Vikings there. WhiteRa blinking forward, taking out a few Vikings. It looks like he wants to fall back. And that is not the best angle to engage through. A lot of his ults will be going kind of single fire trying to charge in on that. So WhiteRa falls back. But he has so much money now. It doesn't matter if he loses his entire army. He could just warp in like 20 zealots all at the same time. Look at these gateways. A bunch of gateways that haven't even been made into warp gates because there's just so many that WhiteRa doesn't even made them. WhiteRa has the 2 shield upgrade now. Might look at getting 3 shields soon. And Maru is making nukes. The nuclear kitty has arrived. WhiteRa picking off a few Vikings and then blinking away for free. But these nukes could be a game changer. If Maru is able to get his ghosts into good position, nuke off probes, maybe even land a nuke on some units, that could change everything. And the thing with nukes is most pros know how to deal with nukes. They're very good at checking their expansions very quickly, you know, finding that little red dot and then pulling their probes. But the thing is, it's very mentally fraying to deal with because you have to check so quickly. And even if the nuke doesn't deal that much damage, the amount of repositioning it can force out of an opponent can be very advantageous to you. With that said, WhiteRa has definitely had a lot of experience. I'm sure he's dealt with nukes before, and we'll have to see how much of a mental toll it takes. Moving forward, getting a few shots, blinking away, and splitting up a bunch of zealots to run into here and potentially kill that base. That is a planetary fortress, and he does have the building armor upgrade. Once again, a upgrade you don't see that terribly often, so that will nullify a lot of damage from those zealots. 5 armor versus 11 damage per slash. Each slash doing 2 attacks. WhiteRa kills a missile turret. Maru decides to let him. Stalker's moving forward, dealing some damage. Needs to blink those away. Yep, blinks them away and runs. So, throwing down even more cannons here. And the bulk of the army here, and that's a lot of Archons. But that said, Maru has a lot of ghosts. Wow, that is so many ghosts. That is 24 ghosts? Yeah, 24 ghosts. 200 energy, so each ghost has 2 EMPs. So 50-some EMPs. Wow. So those Archons, if good EMPs go off, could just melt in a heartbeat. 2 sensor towers, the backup sensor tower. And WhiteRa continuing to move forward, deal some damage, and then blink away. And neither player really wants to engage in directly because, well, each player has an enormous, terrifying army. WhiteRa still up a base. And then 9,000 minerals, that is so much. Throwing a nuke down, WhiteRa needs to... WhiteRa, move your stalkers. WhiteRa, what are you doing? Run! Okay, good. Finally runs them. Deals some damage to these photon cannons. And he's just going to slowly nuke push his way forward. Whole bunch of Vikings moving forward, trying to deal damage. WhiteRa blinks forward, but is that nuke going to hit them? Okay, good. He still has enough time to get away. Going to lose a couple photon cannons. Boom. There they go. And Maru continuing to push forward. Does he have any more nukes? 3 more nukes on the way. Wow. And here we go. Finally getting a good engagement. Archon's evaporating almost instantly. And Maru just moving his units kind of hitting whatever. They're not all engaging into WhiteRa's army. That said, WhiteRa's army has kind of evaporated. Is WhiteRa reproducing it? Not yet. Both players losing so much supply. WhiteRa down to 80. Maru down to 100. And Maru finally taking out this base. And now where's WhiteRa reproducing? Okay. Making some zealots. And by some, I mean a lot. And both players just losing quite a lot of stuff. Let's check the army counts. 10 Marauders, 9 Ghosts, 5 Marines, 12 Zealots, 4 High Templar. They both lost so much stuff in that engagement. But that said, WhiteRa still has an edge because he has such a big bank. And while Maru is starting to mine here, WhiteRa is reestablishing here. And Command Center City incoming. I guess I'll make all of those planetaries, and 4 planetaries will be able to kill basically anything that isn't air units or colossi. Wow, these stalkers moving up might be able to deal a bit of damage. potentially kill a command center before it morphs. But Maru, moving forward with a big army, be able to deny that. We'll see if WhiteRa wants to go in for it. Waiting for some of his army to catch up. Getting a storm down, dealing some damage. Not a ton though. Pulling his Colossi back, trying to keep them safe from the Vikings. Throws the storm down, catches some Vikings. These command centers are almost finished morphing. Maru really wants to keep this expansion secure. More zealots charging forward. Archon caught in the back, can't quite deal damage. And planetary fortresses are done. They're going to start shelling away, and WhiteRa probably needs to run here. Well, that's it. That's a lot of zealots, and they're cutting into these command centers. Kills 2, might get a 3rd. There goes another one, but WhiteRa is kind of losing everything. Still reproducing, though, up on supply. Moving more and more units in. Another Colossi arrives, kills more stuff. But I feel like WhiteRa needs to stop pushing here. He's kind of sending units in piecemeal and just kind of losing them. Colossi goes down. Observers getting picked off, but look at those observers go. They are cruising, man, because they have that observer speed upgrade. So WhiteRa getting more Colossi, getting more Archons, more Zealots, more High Templar. And Maru's in a bit of trouble here because he's very low on money. This base, not quite mined out, about halfway there. A lot of planetary fortresses camped out here. But this might be the end for Maru because he's just having such a hard time reproducing effectively. Because he just doesn't have the economy. Pushing in here, trying to kill this expansion again. We'll see if WhiteRa can arrive in time to defend it. Probably not. And it looks like he doesn't want to engage into that, so he's going to let it go. He still has a significant bank, so he's not too terribly worried about that. Warping in a whole bunch more stalkers. He does have 3 shields now, so he is as fully upgraded as can be. Maru on the Vikings still does not have 3 attacks, so never rebuilt that armory that WhiteRa killed about 3 years ago. WhiteRa blinking forward stalkers, picking off a Viking. Always a good thing to do. And this is one of those situations where you're getting very mined out, and this is probably these are the 2 bases that are left that are full. Every single other one is getting very close to being completely done. And once you get in that position, every unit you can pick off without losing one yourself is a benefit. Because there's eventually your opponent's just going to run out of money. So WhiteRa moving a whole bunch of probes down here. Long distance mining because, hey, might as well. Definitely a tense position for both players, neither really wanting to engage in fully. WhiteRa losing a stalker, getting a good storm down, dealing some damage. Ghosts do not succeed in EMPing or sniping the Templar. And WhiteRa definitely in a good position right now. Maru nearly mined out here and has not been able to retake this base. There is a Zealot park there to keep an eye on it. This base basically done. But WhiteRa has this one, and he has a pretty decent position for defending it. So this could be very problematic for Maru, trying to stim forward some Marauders, but not really accomplishing much. There's too many Stalkers there. WhiteRa looks like he wants to go for it. That's a lot of Colossi. That's gonna, but nope, decides to pull back. Both players are posturing a lot, neither really wanting to go for it. This factory is still hanging out here. It's been hanging out there forever. Maru's still making more ghosts. And getting Vikings. And WhiteRa making more observers. And he has a lot of observers on the map. There's one there. Where's another one? There's one here. Not really doing much of anything. And Maru has been scanning to try to pick those off where possible. Which is always a good thing to do. You never, you want to kill them observers as much as possible. Good storm catches a bunch of Marauders. Another good storm deals a lot of damage before the High Templar dies. So definitely getting his money's worth there. Single observer getting picked off. And quite a bit of Stalkers hanging back here. We got a nuke going down somewhere. Where is that nuke? Okay, nuking here. But WhiteRa seems aware of it. He's pulled his probes back, and he's not really going to take any damage at all from that. Yeah, just a tiny bit of shield damage on the Nexus, no big deal. And Maru looks like he's going to try to take this base again. He knows he needs the income, so he's trying to do that. WhiteRa with some Stalkers blinks back, doesn't want to engage into that. And we'll see. It looks like he's starting to pull his army up. Yeah, he does not want to let Maru get that base mining. That is Maru's ticket back into the game. But WhiteRa instead looks like he wants to just kind of go for it and push up the center here. Maru swinging down with a whole ton of Vikings, doing so much damage, and not the best engagement angle for WhiteRa. He needs to fall back. Stalker's out in the middle, not sure what they were doing. Trying to get some Vikings, I guess. Storming his own Archons. Bit of a misclick by WhiteRa. He's falling back and continuing to reproduce. And what I'm not quite sure about is why WhiteRa is not reproducing to max. Okay, there he goes. Because he certainly has the money for it. And Charge-Lots charging on in. So many Vikings mowing through the Colossi. And WhiteRa kind of getting caught out of position where he had only half his army there and then losing it. And down to 40 supply. Did his probes get nuked? 48 kill goes. Okay, all his probes got nuked. And that changes the game right there. Maru has this base established now. It is a planetary. WhiteRa does not have much of an army left at all. And this base cannot mine while that ghost is sitting there nuking it. WhiteRa is in a lot of trouble now. So Maru just sitting back. He knows that now that he has his base and he has Infinity Mules there, he will have an enormous income. Look at that. 2,400 income off of a single base. Oh, mules. So yeah, Maru just taking a defensive stance. He knows that if he can hold this, he's won the game most likely. WhiteRa is enormously behind now. Reproducing all those probes would take forever. And there's a ghost there that could just nuke him all day long. WhiteRa pushing forward, trying to use his Templar to deal some damage. Gets a decent storm off. Colossi sitting there, but they just die. And yeah, that's it for WhiteRa. GG, well played from him. And we finally end this 51-minute marathon of a game. So very well played by Maru. It was definitely down for a lot of the game. WhiteRa had a bank of almost 10,000 minerals at one point, but just wasn't able to quite finish it. And Maru eventually managed to claw his way back, get a base established, get the key nukes down to kill so many probes here, and basically end it. So thank you for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe. Please also leave comments in the comments section below. I would like feedback on these casts, as I'm always looking to improve my casting, and I will see you guys later.